And from there, I started doing what they call freelancing. As a software engineer, just helping people to build stuff. So before times, I was the founder of Ajo Money also. We built Ajo Money also, a kind of wealth management that decided to Oscar. So we the art of building and working with other founders that are building something, you get to see a lot of things that you feel like, if I could not do this for this person, I think this thing is needed. Why can't I just do this myself? So it's start from building for someone and start saying that let me also build this thing out, because I can't just say because I want to build this thing I tell them someone I need to build it. So let me build something and find a team that we can work on something together. And that is how everything just come down to me finding myself in the startup space where I start building something and bringing up team of people that we're building this solution together. Let's start selling this. I'm a founder. So I think that the summary of how the transition was coming from a learner to a freelancer to an employee, then to a founder.
All right. So, Ibrahim, again, thank you for agreeing to have this conversation with me for the African Mavericks podcast. I'm honored to have someone like you share your story with our audience today. So one of the ways I like us to start is just by taking a few moments to take in 3 deep breaths, and as you do that, just set an intention for how you want this conversation to go.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling great.
That's awesome. So again, thank you, Ibrahim, for agreeing to have this conversation. All right, let's start by me asking you this question. Can you share a quick or story about your background? Maybe some pivotal moments along the journey that led you to where you are today, building Tyms.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that. Once again, my name is Ibrahim, and I'm a Nigerian. And if I should pick everything, like the genesis of my venture into tech, starts from my undergraduate days. I was studying geology from the University of Ilorin, and I think studying geology is. I've been passionate about computer programming, software, and the tech ever since. But I was not really after. I don't see it as a career. I used to see people that are into tech those days as people that would likely be working on Microsoft Office, being a typist in this, as a secretary in one organization. I was not really picturing tech to be something that would be building amazing solution. It's just orientation then, when you say someone is studying computer sciences, you ask yourself, what will we be doing as a computer scientist? So, but I got dive into the programming stage as before I get into university. When I get to university, I get to minor in some courses like programming related courses, and yeah, it's quite interesting. I dig deeper, not just an elective or something you get more interested in. So I think upon graduating in school, I got this flexibility of people start calling me and say, oh, I know this guy knows how to write code. Can he build something like this for me? And from there, I started doing what they call freelancing. As a software engineer, just helping people to build stuff. So before times, I was the founder of Ajo Money also. We built Ajo Money also, a kind of wealth management that decided to Oscar. So the art of building and working with other founders that are building something, you get to see a lot of things that you feel like, if I could not do this for this person, I think this thing is needed. Why can't I just do this myself? So it's start from building for someone and start saying that let me also build this thing out, because I can't just say because I want to build this thing I tell someone I need to build it. So yeah, let me build something and find a team that we can work on something together. And that is how everything just come down to me finding myself in the startup space where I start building something and bringing up team of people that we're building this solution together. Let's start selling things. I'm a founder. So I think that's just a summary, of what the transition was coming from a learner to a freelancer to an employee, then to a founder.
Oh, nice progression of things. So along this journey, even maybe you can even go back because you started your story from university days, but if possible, can you take it beyond that? Like, what influenced you to? What kind of influences or mentors did you have growing up that significantly influenced your journey?
Yeah, so I think one thing is that I grew up from this background whereby I think it's very common for everyone. If I say Nigeria as an example, is that when you are sent to school as a student, you have there's this expectation that you need to perform excellently. So I always have this particular challenge in me is to perform, be a top of my class, have a very good grade. So and I think I'm always fortunate to always be one of the best in my class. For any level I am in the academics. So yeah, I'm this kind of person that is very passionate about grade and leaving school with a good grade. I have interest in research. I'm very curious, and this is because of the family. They just want a brilliant. Everybody wants a brilliant child. Pay your nurse fees, you get a package, you go to school, you get to graduate and get a good job. So this thing motivates. Internally from my house, I think most of the mentors that I have, like uncles, like brothers, it's always more of the education side and getting a corporate job side, just just this normal stuff. But I grew up in Ilorin. Ilorin is a city in Kwara State, Nigeria. So it's not really a kind of enterprising city just like Lagos. So when you grow up in a city like that and you graduate from school and you still live in such city, the best you can get is maybe getting a job with a government parastatal or working with a ministry or joining the force, and stuff like that. But I should look at what people do at the corporate job, except someone that find a way to step out of those places to come to a place like Abuja or Lagos where you can work with a private entity and corporate setup. If you're very lucky, you get a job with the bank in those places. So and it's quite limited. And fortunately, I was able to get to do my NYC in Lagos, and that was how I get to find myself in Lagos. And coming to Lagos, you get exposed to a lot of things. Before Lagos, I used to attend conferences when I was in university. Geology is associated with oil and gas, so that was where I get some mentors within the oil and gas space who were also geoscientists who were doing well. And many of them, yeah, they are this very smart set of people working with shares, Chevron, I am very active in the association. I do get advice, and when some of them get to know that I'm into tech, they are also very resourceful. In telling you about there are new developments in the oil and gas space, there are IT skills and stuff like that. So I have situation where I've been invited to come and train some professionals on how to use Python. And but one thing I still see is just that I still want to be very diverse. So and if you're also in Lagos, you are in the tech space, you also be connected to a lot of information on the internet, be hearing about the acquisition of Paystack, new startup, piggyvest that was coming up, building amazing products. Max, I was talking of 2016, 2017. A lot of startups are rising in Nigeria in the space, and yeah, it's very interesting, and everybody feel like yeah, there's more to tech than this. Those are kind of virtual motivation. And I think another thing I do is like when I was freelancing, I used to be I'm a very small person, very young guy. So most of the people I work with are very quite older than me, and they're also like a mentor. When you're working with a founder, you're building something for a founder, and you're that small engineer guy that is building something for them. There's this passion they have in them. There's this vision they have in them. There's this thing you see in them when they want to do something, even though they don't know how to write code. Just see like these people are just visionary. They see something they want to solve. They might not be privileged to write the code. And personally, I also when I immediately I left school, I built a kind of e-learning platform because I was thinking that there's some skills that we learn in geology that if it's not on any learning platform, then you can't sit on EDX, can't sit on Udemy. Can I set up a platform like this where I just bring training centers that train people to use some softwares, to just let people buy into the courses from a public platform and stuff like that. So but it's not that easy. You can't just wake up from anywhere and say you want to start up something. You need fund. You need stuff like that. So, but at least working with funders is also one of the mentorship pathway for me. I just see the way they are, and I look at myself sometimes, and I feel like I think I have something in common with these people. I'm very curious. If I'm working as a full time person in your company, while my mind is in your work, I want to work in every department. I'm just curious about everything. When the sales and marketing are doing something, even though I'm the tech guy, I'm interested. I'm interested in digital marketing space. I'm just interested in a lot. I just want to know a lot of things are working. So yeah, but I know that one way or the other, I working with people is one of my biggest pathway. Of let's say if I say I want to have a mentor, I'll just be listening to people I've worked with. These are people that have hired me because I learn from people. And also there are sometimes I don't know how to do some things and I hire someone to come and do it for me. I don't leave the person to do it on their own. I still also look at what they've done, see what I can modify on the long run, and also learn from the person. So I learn from people that pay me, I learn from people that I pay, and I learn from people that I live with, I learn from information online. You leave a comment on someone post on LinkedIn, you're my mentor already, because I'll shake my head out. Wow, this makes a lot of sense. I'll follow this guy, I'll be checking up on your content. So, it's a very interesting space. So you can really learn from a lot of space if you have the open mind, to learn. You see everybody have something in them and just keep track of what they're saying wherever they are, maybe online, offline, and you see that it will be making impact on you.
Very interesting. What I get from that is that you're a very curious person, which is a a very huh?
I said in summary, you'll see
It's
me
a
doing
very
some lately. You'll be surprised at how you find yourself into the accounting space. Yeah.
that was what I was going to ask. That was one of the questions I had lined up because I was looking at your background from environmental sciences. How are you building a financial accounting app? I mean, solution. Let me not call it an app. Like, can you, if you don't mind, can you plug in Tyms now at this point? Tell us that
Yeah.
journey, that story.
Like I really love the kind of sequential conversation. I love I love the flow because if you look at my background is in like earth sciences, environmental stuff like that, and I found myself in technology. And even when I started building stuff, I started writing code. Yeah, I do have a guy. He's also a geoscience grad. He's from Futa. He's in the US now. He's doing his PhD in computer science. He's also one of those guys that I see. There are some guys I know that study earth sciences and seeing them also doing well in the IT space, and it's always giving this motive that yeah, you are not limited. You can do anything. And it's also one of my investors in times, one of my friend and stuff. So as I said, people you work with, people your co-workers and stuff. So when I look at it, I was very curious technology. When I started writing code, sometimes I got to know that no, I don't need to be a computer science graduate before I can write code. I just need to keep on learning, building something, learning from what I've built, work with people. And I'm already in the space. If you look at companies like KPMG today or PwC, they have guys in some department that don't even graduate with accounting and they started doing stuff in the tax space, in the finance space, because they bring you in, they train you. So if you are someone that is educated, you can easily find yourself into a space over a period of time. When we look at times, when I was building a job money, it's a kind of fintech product. And one thing about me is that I look at business and I look at profitability because my first business is a service business. I build software for company. And when I build software for company, I think of just only one thing. What is my margin? How much will I build this thing for you? How much will it take me? How much will I make? I'm very conscious of what is my margin. So, but when I get to the startup space, you see some people telling you that, oh, you need to get some, people might not be paying you immediately. The products can be free. It can be this. Like, yeah, I know you need to get investors to back you, but I need to see this. I need to see the money. You can build a product like millions of people are using your products, but you're not making any money. All of the expenses are still covered by the investor money. I'm not against the stuff, but I'm just this kind of person that if I call something a business, I want to see my margin and stuff like that. So when we're working on our job money is a kind of a passion project, and every time I'm always with I have an account. I always ensure my co-founder is the finance person. I always have accountant I hired. I'm always interested in seeing how are the things moving, how is everything going. Even though I was not finding it easy to understand it. But the accountants come with big books, big sheet at the end of every month. But I was learning. And at some point, I feel like there could be a lot of funders out there that are like myself, even not just funders, there could be a lot of accountants that are not doing up to what. Luckily, I have some smart accountants that I was working with. So And when I tell them to look for a software around for me, there will be limitations there and there. There will be maybe this one we have limits where we can do this because you are from Nigeria. Unless you're outside of Nigeria, you can get the full of this, and stuff like okay, you can is that I build something internally or I build something that I let other people to use, And when we started building, people will come with the idea that this thing is very difficult. Don't dive into this thing, just build something, just build a simple bookkeeping something for people to just do. Like, why we do? I was like, I don't really need to build this thing, because if nobody's building it, how are we going to be able to make impact? Like, it's very curious. Everybody wants to run away from it. Once you do the income and expenses, for you to deep like this, everybody's out. Everybody, the engineers are scared. They were like, if I don't study accounting, I can't work on this project. Book is not balancing. Very crazy. So, man, it's a challenge. So I pick up some books and I say, let's read together. You people are an accountant. So we developers are not running away. You people, you know what you know. How would you have do this thing manually? Don't let's talk technology. I know you will do it on Excel sheet for me. How would you have done it? Sit down, explain it to me. Then I will go back with my guys and we'll write the code. So I think we started this in March 2023. That was when we pushed the first code. March 2023, January, February, March. We did not wait. We started selling to people. We started introducing people. Small business, one business, two business. Nobody was paying, no problem. One person paid, thank God. This churn. But March, April, May, June, July, let's say March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I think it was in August. It was in August we saw the something like, guys, we've gotten a full accounting software. Like, you bring in a data to our system and we balance your book for you. Like, real. Like, the way you see it on QuickBooks or Sage or stuff like that. This is not just assumption. This is a standard. Like, we're following the standard. So, my co-founder told me at some point that I won't lie to you, when we started this, I really don't think we're going to get this right. Sometimes when I come up with sometimes, can we run the cash and the accrual on time? So you say, why are you guys disturbing yourself? These things are not as easy as you say, but I think that's the business. For me, I think that's the business, because if people need it and they are getting it at a very high rate somewhere, can we just push further? Can we try not to limit ourselves to the basics? We know people need it. They need to fight their taxes. They need a comprehensive stuff. Can we just push? Let's push. Don't let us say this is where everybody stop. We should stop there. So, and the funniest thing is, like, you can't be writing a code for something and you won't know that thing. So every time you sit down, you write the code. The lady, my accountant, Adesola, she logs in, she tell you that, guys, and you guys want me to work with Tyms. See, this thing is still not balanced. I say, see, come back, let's sit down again. What should we have done? See, I don't want to hear you telling me that. See, do you want me to let me go back to my Excel sheet? Like, Times is I've seen a customer that tells me that I wanted to finance, I want to pay on times so that times will solve my problem. But by paying on times, I think I'm financing my problem. I said that, okay, we'll give you a trial. Like, we're not after but we created the message. This is a paid product because we know what we're building, man. If we don't charge for this thing, even QuickBooks it's charge thousands of dollars. NetSuite, none of them is bringing this thing out for free, because even the query on the server that used to compute a lot of things you're burning a lot of cost, to run some connection between different metric and stuff like that. So, and it was interesting because I feel like it's not almost a year now. By March it will be a year. So I've been doing the same thing every day, writing code with my team every day, demoing something within a space. I really don't need to go to school. I speak the language, I'm working on the product, I pitch about it. Let's look at it in 8 months. You expect that I should have some knowledge of this thing to some extent. Let us ask the question. So I think that is how it is. I started taking some courses, certification courses online, just some exams, some tests to just evaluate my potential academically in those areas. And I'm not really doing bad. So it's been fun, and I believe that I might not be doing this forever, but as a founder of the product in the space, the knowledge is very, very important. And yeah, that is how I just find myself in accounting again. And honestly, that space is fun because there's a big problem there. There's a very big problem in that space.
Very interesting story. Very interesting story. What I got from that is you're the kind of person that if there's a challenge, you want to go head first into that challenge and see how you can come out on the other side.
Yeah, I
But
think that's where
I'm huh?
I say I always think that's where the opportunity is, you know.
Facts, facts. So I'm thinking, as someone that grew up in Kwara State, like you mentioned earlier, and you know, knowing what that environment looks like, how limiting it is, you know, where would you say this trait comes from? Because what I'm thinking is, for I would think that you'll be programmed to just go with the flow. Like, since things are limiting, I'm just going to limit myself. But where do you think that's what I because it's obviously not from your environment. If I'm guessing, it's obviously not from your environment. So where do you think that came from?
Let me go back to let me just talk about maybe family or hereditary, like a trait. So I'll say my
Okay.
dad is an entrepreneur, For example,
Okay.
my dad is an entrepreneur, is in the creative space, is into creative design, photography, graphic design, printing and stuff like that. So I grew up in with like I was raised by someone that is this very creative that you can see him coming in the house, maybe got a contract to work on a particular carton for someone, like print something, just packaging some proposal to train some people in some area about some vocational study, So I grew up in this space of someone that is just always coming with idea every time, different idea, different new concept, different innovation. And when I finished my, my high school, and also personally, I think I have the trait of curiosity because when I was in school, I went to public secondary school in Kwara State, and I was in a school whereby I'm in a class with like over 100 students. In a junior class in school, you're in a class with over 100 students where even no teacher, the teacher don't know who is who in the class. Only some set of students are just very special to be known by a specific teacher. So if you don't come to the class, nobody care about you. Nobody care what you score. You're just there in school, and there's these other people, kids out there also who goes to this private school, just 12 students in class, good teachers, standard. My teachers, some of our teachers are just people that are looking for government job, they got job with the state government. You just allocate the subject to them. It might not be the person that's teaching you this course might not even know anything about the course, but yeah, I got the job with the government and I was posted to this college to be teaching this course. So I found myself in this on your own speed, where I always feel challenged. That number one is that I won't let this limit me. Like I don't care if I'm in a space where people don't understand. I'll work on myself. I'll teach myself, and I want to be in a stand whereby if someone out there is going to a private or international school, I want to compete with them. Like from my SS1 senior secondary school one, I've always been attending competition for my school. That is a public school, and we always come back with flying colors, if not the first position, second position, third position, So I decided to always jump on. I always look for competition that we attend when we were in school. So who are the guys then? So Calbe, different competition because I really want to evaluate myself compared to those people. So I always believe that there's no limitation in what you're doing. I see this as curiosity. I always want to think outside of my environment. And even during times, I don't want to limit it to Africa. I'm also thinking of something we can do that people outside of Africa will also use. So it doesn't have to, I don't have to be limited into the environment where I find myself. So, and I see this is a trait I picked from my dad, this curiosity, just idea, always working on things. And when he got his first laptop, he could not really use it to work on his design. So he called myself and my brother, and he get to sit us down. Sorry, then there's some things that I always want to go and do in the lab that I give some people to do for him. So he come back home and told myself and my brother that yeah, you guys are old enough. You guys go to school. Like I don't want to go to the lab and tell someone to use this Photoshop to edit this thing for me, to create this thing for me. You guys are old enough to start doing it, to start doing it for me. And that's how you start. You sit down. Sometimes if you don't get it, you say that okay, go to the lab, go and tell someone to do this thing for me, but sit down beside the person when they are doing it and come back home, and do the next one for me. So it was very difficult learning things without maybe a structure. I just sit down, just look at you guys, you're doing it on your system. I'm looking at the keyboard you're pressing, how you are doing the transformation on those pictures. I'll go back home, I'll tell my dad that, yeah, I think we can do this for you now. You don't need to pay that guy in the lab, for this again. So I think that was the motivation. That was the kind of upbringing. Not just myself and my brother. He's a creative, he's a product designer and very good at it. So I feel like everything is connected to how we, the foundation how we grew up, and it's just in the blood. I think maybe.
Interesting, interesting. Now I can see where the curiosity and the what I say doggedness to figure out a solution comes from. Um,
Yeah.
kudos to your dad.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that, to hear that he was in the creative space because, it's not the culture or the norm to just go into that field. So it's interesting to see that, it, the curiosity to step out of the box
Yeah.
is coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So the next question I'm going to ask you is about, well, like I told you earlier, when we're chatting, the whole platform is about promoting independent thinking and purposeful living amongst young Africans, right? From your story so far, I can testify that you are someone that thinks independently. But let me ask you, what does purpose? What does how would you define purpose? Like living purposefully, and would you say you are currently living purposefully?
Yeah, I think let's if we should look at it, from the language side and outside of the language side. I believe that everything people say they are live try to live or say their hand on always linked to a particular purpose. And to be very interested to be very honest with you, it's not possible for me to see I'm not purposeful, because it means I'm just doing things without a goal. Like the first thing is that I am this kind of person that aside from being curious, I am always very much concerned about impact. I'm very much concerned about just being different. I always want to be different. I always want to make impact. And at the end of the day, I really want to be someone whereby I should be responsible for anything that ended up happening to me, like anywhere I find myself in my story. Meaning that if I build a company that feels the cause of the failure, if I lay my hand on something that works, also the cause of the success with the support of others. So I feel like I always want to be responsible, for myself. I really don't want to blame the environment around me. So whenever I look at something I want to venture into, I'm very more interested in the end results. That's the impact, and the impact is either economical or financial. And when the impact is economical, it means the society where I find myself, the place where I find myself, they feel my presence. They know I'm doing something relevant in that community. And financially means that I personally also, I'm trying to create a good financial, lifestyle, for myself. Because, if you dive into anything, aside from even when you're in school, when you're learning in school, is to get a good job. You get a good job, you get the IP job, you are very successful, you live a life that you want, you're very okay and convenient. And at the same time, you also impact with your society. You can be someone that, that people in your society want to follow your path. Like, "Ah, I want to be like this person." For myself, I look at myself that, yeah, I really want to be those set of guys that people will look at and say that you can perform very well in school, or you can choose to graduate from school and venture into entrepreneurship and still be successful. And people that I can just say that you can also study in this kind of background in your undergrad, in your maybe secondary school stage or high school stage, and it doesn't limit you, meaning that you can have this upbringing and still meet yourself here. So I'm this kind of person that I just give myself this purpose that I don't want where I'm from to limit me, and I really don't want my society, my surrounding, to also decide what I can do. So even if I'm very ambitious or curious, something is igniting it, and that is my purpose. Something the purpose keep igniting whatsoever I do every time. You know, if I'm building something, times that we're building today, I really want to see it to be this software. I've seen people use times and tell me that this doesn't look Africa, and that is something that is something I always want. Just do something whereby your economic, like people around you feel the impact. That no, I'm proud to say that no, I'm from the place where this person is working on this thing. And personally, I also want to make fortune, out of whatsoever I do. So if my economic purpose and my financial purpose align, I think I think I'm being purposeful, because I always divide this into two: the economic and the financial. So that's I don't know if that answers the question.
That's it. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it, and I like the fact that you're actually purposeful about your purpose, if that makes any sense. You've boiled it down to two things. As far as these two things align, that means I'm moving purposefully. That's what I got
Yeah,
from your answer.
exactly.
Okay, so in doing this now, and I want to presume that you've learned some valuable lessons, right? So could you speak on that? What are some of the, would I say, valuable lessons that you've picked up on your journey?
Yeah, I think some of the valuable lessons that I've picked up on my journey is that whether you like it or not, the where you start from, if you're starting from a different point with different set of people, your journey can never be the same with them. Even though you guys can meet yourself at the same destination, but you guys will follow different paths. For example, someone that is starting from a very solid background, you have access to everything you need, you have access to whatsoever you want to achieve. Yeah, you can achieve, you can get, you can attain success, and the same person from the other side, you can attain success. But believe me, whether you like it or not, your path will never be the same. And if you always have that at the back of your mind, you try to avoid comparing yourself, and you always learn to be yourself. You always learn to create your path yourself. And I think one thing I try to learn, as I said in the first question, is that I always want to take responsibility on myself. And another thing again is I also believe you need to also find a way to believe people around you, because if I look at what I learned growing up is that I try to look at people around me and I see that wow, this person is doing great. I'm the guy type of person that really don't know how to criticize people. I can criticize
Mm.
people that are doing something for me, and tell you that we need to make it better. But I really don't know how to. I know that everybody always have their bad side, but I taught myself that whenever you are always looking at the positive side of everyone, you will get something valuable from them. Because me growing up and I see people talking about someone that, oh, this person is very bad at this, and me too, I follow the trend and look at the person that, oh, this person might look okay, but man, they are very bad. I don't know. I've not worked with them. Just like you're looking at someone to mentor you or someone to invest in your business, or maybe a lecturer in school that you want to work on a research work with, but because of what you heard about the person, you also choose to follow the trend and move away from that thing. You're comparing yourself with some other set of people that could have done. So sometimes you need to create your own path. Like, okay, if I design my formula, do I need this person in my journey? I really don't care what people are saying about this person. I need to shoot my own shot, and I have a different narrative of this particular person. It might not be a person, it might be an institution, it might be a company to work, it might be someone to work with. So by learning, because most of the time, sometimes someone will tell you that don't apply for this thing, you won't get it, don't do this thing. But it's because you limit yourself to that person. Someone somewhere have also applied for it, and it's very helpful to them. So one thing I just learned to do now is be yourself. I have someone that always tell me every time, like let me say my dad always tell me every time that just always believe in yourself, because when people tell you something is not working and they give you the evidence, you still need to think about it again, and because you might not know whether it will work for you. So I learn that thing, and anything I'm doing every time. Even sometimes another thing is procrastination. As someone that is very curious, very ambitious, doing a lot of things, procrastination will eat you. You do something, you have to procrastinate another day until it's out of. And it's not easy. Honestly, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I'm still fighting that thing every time. I'm still fighting that thing every time. Apply for this thing, you wait until it's closed before you do it. and stuff like that. So, but believe me, opportunity is just where you never think it's going to be. Like, there's some opportunity that I've seen at times that I was not thinking it would be there. The nature is just very crazy. So honestly, every day I want to look at myself and give myself an advice. Just say that don't miss the opportunity. Just don't miss the opportunity. Don't see because people are telling you that this thing you're doing, they're not giving anybody money for that thing. Why you waste your time and prepare for where they are not giving someone money? Well, you don't know. Don't do that. If you do your analysis and you see the value, economic value, just go there. You know. So even same thing with education. Sometimes you just see some. We have a lot of Africans in diaspora studying abroad, and some are in some schools where they're studying, and people don't even know the school exists, and it might be very valuable, making impact in their career, in their life. And someone would have advised them, no, don't apply to this country, apply to this country because that country. So honestly, if anybody, I always advise myself that, man, just sit down and do your, don't follow the noise, because if you move with the noise, man, and you become, some people are just there. They don't need to create their path themselves. Someone is already there designing it for them. They are just beneficial. But you that you are not in that system, and you're also listening to all the noise, everything you hear on Twitter, everything you hear there, and you just see yourself stagnant. I wonder you ask them, but what can I now do? Because you people are the one driving my you're the one determining what I'm going to do. So what should I do? And they will tell you that I'm not your father. Why would I be the one to tell you what to do? So in some honestly, I just feel like create your path yourself. Don't let the noise drive you.
Well, I love that. I love that. You made some valuable points there. One of them being not taking other people's opinions about whatever it is, maybe it's somebody, the institution or what's it called, as gold or as truth, but rather exploring the opportunity, building a relationship with that person to make your own, conscious decision about that thing. I really like that. I really like that. The next question I want to ask is, so about in your, you've said you obviously you've made it clear that you're a very curious person, right? So that means, what that tells me is that you've had opinions and you've dropped opinions, right? So can you tell me like something that you felt strongly about, maybe when you were younger or, presently, and you felt strongly about that this thing is the way it is, but over time with the experience you've gained, your opinion about that thing has changed?
Um, I think if any question that involve me going back to the roots, you need to put and load and look for a scenario. So I think if I look at
Yeah.
an opinion, you see, some opinions that are connected to experience. Some could be like a traumatic experience, that you encounter that change your perspective, about things, and some might be emotional, So I think normally growing up, I never see myself to be someone that said I'm an entrepreneur. Maybe because I don't know if entrepreneurship is a successful thing, because everybody know that you are meant to get job with a great company and go from there. I really don't know. Nobody. I was not really thinking I want to own a company or build a startup. I don't even know what the startup is. So like everybody, you want to be a pilot now or medical doctor. And you've designed your
Astronaut.
exactly. So you've designed everything in place. By this age, when I do this by this age, I'll finish this. I will apply to this. I will fly this thing. And you share your vision with your parents. This will say, oh yeah, we will work towards this. And as time goes on, the journey will be changing. Things will change it. Where you think you find us, sometimes you apply to university for a course, they just give you another course. And in Nigeria, I don't know. In Nigeria, you apply to university for this course, and they just give you this course, and that's where the research will start. They tell you that, don't worry, you see this course you're doing, you get a job anywhere in the country. Just continue. So if I look at things again, I always see that everything will not always go as you plan, but you have the power to just be taking advantage of where you find yourself. You might see me as a founder today, and maybe my the next phase of my career, I might not be a founder. I might be working with someone, on something they're working on they're building on. I might exit a company. Anything can happen. Like you can wish you can have a purpose. As I said, it's either economic or financial, but you can't be specific. That is one thing I learned. You can't be specific. You can't say because you see me as a founder at this my age today, and you think that is what I will be till I die. No, I see the world as an adventure, and I think it's an adventure, and you tend to live every moment. So sometimes I always think growing up that we can decide this is what we want to be, this is how we're going to be it, and work towards it. And African, we pray towards it, and it will be. But the reality is like, you know, nothing is constant. So I think that perspective is something that I have. If I sit down with someone today, I just love to talk about the present. I really can't tell you things of 10 years unless I'll be deceiving you. Because no matter what strategy that I have,
Mm.
some factors around me, we alter my direction. It might be the states where I find myself, the country I find myself, um, the laws in my country. So a lot of things, alter things. Sometimes as a founder, you send your investor or someone that wants to invest in your company will tell you to give me 5 years plan or 10 years plan. I know investors want that, but let's be very let's be very realistic with us. Even out of business, it can be very certain. Things they're planning that will happen in 5 years might even happen in 1 year, and things that you're planning that will happen in 5 years might never even happen at all. And you have to be very honest with yourself in your mind. You get to have a purpose, but just always be realistic. But that's one thing I can't look for any other thing, but I just know that honestly, I'm not this kind of person that will tell you that, oh, I promise you this. But right now, as we're talking, I can give you the possibility, of something. But we have to be ready for change. And at least, if at the end of all of us get value, if it's financial value we're looking for, we get it. We started with a particular product, we're building another product. So things are not the way it moves. So if you just feel like, oh, this thing I will stick to it forever and ever, say congratulations to the person. you know, uh, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love your answer, and I think. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
I said that is it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you actually hit the nail on the head with the answer because um, you started by mentioning that as a child you had this mentality that this is how things are supposed to go. You know, but now with experience, you now see that you have to stay present and use information that is current to make decisions on how to move forward. It's not there's no set path. There's no this is how it's supposed to be. This is what is this is a sure banker, like they used to
Yeah.
say. So yeah, I love that. I love that. And just something you said, just staying present. Whenever you have conversations, you don't like to focus on the past or it's what's currently happening. How can we move forward with what's currently happening? I love that. Um, so piggyback of that, what is your would I say? I know you just said you don't like to put plans or 5 year or whatever, but with what you're doing now with Tyms and the different things that you're working on, how do you see that in making an impact to the people around you and Africa as a whole? Is that something you even think about?
Yeah, some when someone is a startup founder or someone into tech, we always say you are building. I hardly see they say someone has built something. Maybe until when you exit or when you leave the company, that is where they use the term build. But every CEO out there, when you ask them what are they doing, they'll tell you that I'm building this. We're building the this of this. We're building the something, the infrastructure. You see, you always take note of the continuous tense, building. So like when you use the term building, you yourself should know that you are in the present, you're doing something. And I feel like that is the phrase that everybody uses, building. So right now I'm building something, and this thing that I'm building, it is not something that is new. So there are a lot of indicators out there. There are some things that are like indicators about the viability. For example, if you look at the number of businesses that we have in, let me use Nigeria as an example. The evaluating the stuff you're building, the stuff I'm building, evaluating is very easy. If I look at businesses out there, don't let me even look at maybe small businesses. Let's look at businesses that are feeding the government very good tax revenue, like where the government are getting good tax from them. There are a lot of them. A lot of accountants are graduating from college every year. All of them seeking for job. I'm also building something that is also like an accountant out there. But this kind of accountants cannot work with just one company. It can work in a company where we accountants that are seeking for a job out there, we also want to find themselves. So until when you think that there's no need for any accountants in any organization again, then there won't be a need for what I'm building again. And I keep on using that as a pathway. So if you are still going to university today and applying for a job, applying for a course, and you say I want to study accounting, I want to study this. Yeah, my software is also applying for that. It's also learning that time. And by the time you're also leaving school and you want to go and seek for a job, you should also be using my software as indicator that I am good with this, meaning that I'm qualified for this job. Times we get to a stage whereby
Mm.
if there is graduate of any course in finance and you're very good and rigid with using the software, I don't know how long it will be, but I want it to be very fast because that's what we're doing in startup. So I'm not giving a time, but I know it has to be very fast. A year, two, because I can control a year. I can control what will happen this year before the end of this year to a large extent. But I'm not in control of what will happen by the end of next year. By the end of 2025, I'm not in control of what will happen. But to a very large extent, I can control what will happen in 2024. So that is my benchmark. Like before the end of 2024, can I set up a system where people are taking, where people, where our software is at a stage where graduates in school can be learning it, not just acquiring business again. It's a kit that people that are leaving school put in their resume that I'm very solid with this particular software. And believe me, if I'm getting a job with any company in Nigeria, it will be a good pathway for my career. So now, if I look at this very well, it is endless. If you look at the Corporate Affairs Commission, people are registering business every day, every month, and every year. Even if some business are shutting down, another business is rising, and we still be that accounting software that is holding them down to ensure they don't close down at the point. So it's something that I can really relate with in the present because it's a continuous thing. I mean, I find myself, for me, I really don't know, but I see myself in an industry that is continuous. I see that if I stop today, the environment still did not stop, still keeps moving. And if I did not stop, I still find myself. So if I look at where am I going, I'm seeing more businesses funding coming up, getting their finances right and becoming very big. I want to be part of that journey. I want to be part of that story. If some businesses will become very big in 1 year, I want Times to be part of the story of what makes them to be very great. If they are becoming great after 10 years, I still want Times to be part of the story. So, this is the vision, and this vision can happen within a year, it can happen within 2 years. That is one thing I believe in because this software, this technology, so far you keep on building markets and you keep on learning, anything can happen. So anywhere you are in the world, any company, you enter a supermarket, they have an accountant there, they have a finance person there. Somebody is having the problem that we need to solve, anywhere. So I feel like at least if I can give anyone a particular vision, I will link it to my environment. I will just look at our surrounding. What do you see? Where do you see this going? Is there a point somebody will tell you that this particular course in school will no longer be valid and we don't want people to come? There are some courses in the world today that some universities are taking it down, of their stuff because they don't want people to take it again. There's some in the maybe the geology space, maybe some course in some resources that some countries are running away from this stuff and they're saying we're no longer offering, masters or any program in this field again. Is it possible for it to happen in the accounting space, the finance? New things are rising, M&A, new term. Like there are some financial terms that we're using in tech space today that the world is developing. New people are coming in with new metrics, new approach of doing things, new method of doing things, and you're not even learning it from school. So we want to be there. We want to be part of that conversation. And whether we like it or not, we make money from it, as a business, no matter how. It's not charity, it's not NGO. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. I love that, and I love the fact that you're trying to be the standard. I don't know if that's what I got from what you just said. Now you're trying to be the standard that
Yeah,
accountants, the standard application that accountants use.
yeah,
That's a very lovely vision. That's a very lovely vision, and I wish you and the Times team all the best with that.
yeah.
So, Ibrahim, I think we're come we have like maybe 15 more minutes. So I'm just going to go into some not heavy questions, let me put it that way. So the first question I have for you is, if you could have a 1 hour conversation with any historical figure from Africa, dead or alive, who would you pick and why?
Yeah, if I'm to have I'm this kind of person that outside of business, even politics, yeah, there's some people that I'm very curious with that I might say that I need to meet you and even hear your side of the story. There's those people that just thinking good about them. I feel like I wish I can hear your side of the story. Maybe you destroyed this continent a lot, but let me hear your own side of the story. But to be very serious, if I look at people who are very historic, what is first, what would be my indicator, my index? One thing about my index is I'm very interested in people that are able to create a very great reform. People that create a very great reform, that redefine the entire face, of a particular country or a particular field or stuff like that. And when we look back, we really have a lot of them because there's many of them that I'm always very curious about. You know, I think I would say that many of my team will be in the political space, governments, leaders, that have ruled this country. And I'll be very honest with you. I'm always very interested in having a one-on-one or 1 hour conversation. People like don't let me call the name. It might be something you're not expecting, you know. But sometimes, I'm a Nigerian person, and there are a lot of things that are happening in Nigeria that I feel like, where is the origin? Fedi Lord Lugard, Big Lord Lugard. You know,
Oh
do you
yeah.
know Fedi Lord Lugard?
Of course. That's the guy that put Nigeria. I mean, supposed people to put Nigeria together, but yeah.
So now, can I sit down and even hear the side of the story? What do you think? My country, Nigeria, is in the states that I'm not really happy. I feel like we deserve to be better than, where we see ourselves today. We have the resources, we have the people, we have the brain, we just have the skills. If you're an average Nigerian is a very smart person, whether you like it or not. I always feel that an average Nigerian is a very smart person. And I look at how will it be a country that, when they're talking of corruption, when they're talking of poverty, is be part of the index. So, okay, it was a girlfriend or your wife that named Nigeria the name. I really want to sit down with you. Like, you people know the origin. I need to know what is happening because honestly, aside business, aside entrepreneurship, aside, believe me, if I'm in a great country, Nigeria is a very big country, a very big economy. If you even do a business in such economy and very, very, accommodating for you, you will excel. So, but there are a lot of barriers that you get to see, and those barriers might not change immediately. So, I'm always more interested in Frederick Lord Lugard. Can I really know your side of the story?
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
aside,
Funny enough,
yeah,
funny
yeah,
enough, I think I had on the show about 2 or 3 years back. He said the same thing. He wanted to sit down with the founding fathers of Nigeria and ask, why did you guys, put Nigeria together the way you put it? Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting. I think that leads me to the next question. Is a perfect segue to the next question I was going to ask. So, if you had unlimited resources to um to solve one of Nigeria or Africa's major problems, which one would you pick and why?
If I'm to solve Nigeria or Africa problem, to be very honest with you, if you want to solve any problem in Nigeria or Africa, let me even start with Nigeria. Man, you have a lot of battle to fight. Well, let me take up the problem that you can because you can't really solve Nigeria's problem because you might be solving a problem in Nigeria and Nigerians will catch you. Nigerians will hold you. You will tell yourself, yeah, Nigeria. Everybody's online. We are watching Nigeria, but you think you want to solve a problem, and if Nigerians hold you, just make a little mistake. They won't remember you want to solve a problem for them again. So, if I look at a problem that I can, if I'm to solve a problem, let me look at mine because I always wish a lot of things. Every time I think about Nigeria a lot, every day, anything I'm doing, I always have Nigeria at the back of my mind, irrespective. And I think it's still one of the things that still keep me in Nigeria longer enough, irrespective of what's happening in my environment, people moving out of the country. And I feel like there are just a lot of things about Nigeria in my head, so that I can link down to why I'm still within the Nigeria environment or cloud. So, and one thing I see is that I always wish there's a way I can bring out the Nigerian potential, the capacity of Nigerians, in the from the positive side. And when you go out of the country today, as we're talking right now, and you use your Nigerian passport, the security check on you will be quite different from anyone from any other part. There are some countries in Africa today that there are some countries in outside of Africa that give their citizens free access. Like, yeah, there are African countries and they can still go to some other countries outside of Africa without having a visa. I really, maybe I don't know. I really can't count how many gives in Nigeria, a visa free access to enter their country, and they're not in Africa. You know, and when you look at, okay, yeah, and when I look at the cause of the problem like this, I see that it's also it's a problem of trust and a problem of mentality. And another thing is that I to solve this problem of trust, problem of mentality, because I really can't say I want to solve the problem of environmental climate in Nigeria. I really can't say I want to solve education. To be very honest with you, I grew up in this society, and I see that if there is no way you can come up with something that can change how we think, any problem you really want to bring into the society might not scale. If you even say you build schools for a community, you want to change the education from the grassroots, there's still a lot of things that will make that there's still a lot of problems surrounding that will make it a bad advice. And how can we change the narrative? And to be honest with you, I see that when people who are doing great in a space that is doing well, like maybe people like but people that are doing well, that are very successful, that come from the grassroots in Nigeria, and they just don't go to the grassroots back themselves that, okay, I'm not a big man, I'm not a very successful man. Because one thing I learned in Nigeria or in Africa is that young people that are growing look at someone to decide what can I be. If you look at maybe some kind of bad things that happen, like maybe someone is into foster or stuff like that, you see the person knows someone who is into it, and that person is doing well and also reachable, accessible, and willing to help. So if you look at a child that is doing well in school, you see he likely have a brother or someone. So I'm always interested that how can we solve the problem of image? How can we build a community where people see themselves as if I'm not it's not because I'm big, I'm not really out of this matrix. Like I'm not saying I'm big, I'm out of the matrix, but I'm big, but I'm still part of the matrix, and I can let these people see me. I know a lot of guys in Nigeria that are doing a lot of things that motivate. That when you see young guys thinking about them, they also want to do well. And it's just a very complex thing because honestly, I can answer this question by saying that I really want to change the education space in Africa, how people have access to technology, and when people have access to technology and get good technology orientation, they can get job outside of the space. But there's something in my head that still tells me that guy, this won't work. it will be limited. You can push it to an extent, but you won't still serve a core majority that will make the impact. So how can we redefine how we think, how Nigerians think? Information that move around the media, the policy, the constitution of the country, a lot of things. I really don't know if I can help. I don't know how to answer this question, but to be honest with you, outside outside of the barrier, I would say that I really love Nigeria to be like a country like let's look at all these United Arab Emirates, all these Qatar, this Dubai, like they have resource, like we have oil and gas, we have resource, and we build a country where we don't think about these resources as something for a particular corruption, something you can use to build a nation. Like everybody are in a country where they know that no, someone in another part of the country wants to come to Nigeria. Someone wants to come to Nigeria for vacation. But all these things work around image. They work around mentality. And this is one of the things I wish. I always wish one day Nigeria can be a country that people want to get the visa, the stuff to come and stay a week there, come and stay sometime. They'll even relocate there, come to study in some of the universities there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And but to do this, I need to get into politics. I'm not a politician, so people that can solve that problem have to be a politician. So, but for me, if there's a way we can make Nigeria that innovative space, solid education, technology, and for the dream of many people that I know, where talents can be an export product that they're using to, we are exporting talents. People from other parts of the world are using Nigerian talents from Nigeria to build amazing things, and they're bringing in value, money, resource, not just oil, not just solid minerals, but even people on their own. They are like a valuable asset, that is bringing wealth back into the country. I feel like that will really define, the mindset, and you can really know that when you see Nigerians, you see this value. I know it's possible, and I would love to be part of that story, of how talent is becoming an export product, in Nigeria and Africa.
Very detailed answer. Something that you said there that really resonated with me was, the way we think. I think, like you said, we can address education, we can give people technology and all that, but we'll still be limited if the people that are using those, resources are not thinking right. So
Yeah.
actually, if I was asked that same question, that's the answer I would give. I would want to solve the way Africans think, because I think
Yeah.
that's where it starts from.
Yeah.
And in to be honest, that's one of the reasons why this platform exists, to,
Yeah.
in my little way, raise the consciousness of how we think as a people. You know, um, yeah, so I love that answer. I'll ask you one last question before we can go. If your journey was, imagine if life was a journey, what vehicle are you traveling in? It could be a car, it could be a boat, train, airplane, whatever it is. What vehicle are you traveling in, and what does that say about your approach to life?
Yeah. So, if life is a journey, I will look at something that allows me to regulate my speed, something that give me these assets that at this tarmac you need to move slow, at this tarmac you need to move fast, at this point you need to stop for a while.
Okay.
let, let, let's say
Okay.
yeah, because I won't choose a rocket. A rocket, once you launch a rocket, phew, you're going, you can't control the speed. And even if I'm like a car, the moment you start the car, I think if I'm like a car, I can control my speed. I might choose to move fast, I might choose to move slow, but I'll be rest assured that this thing will get me to my destination without womaning me out extremely. Because if I should walk, I will just move slow. I don't have the ability to move fast. But I would prefer to be like a car, like a vehicle, because something that is moving at a medium speed, and I can easily regulate how fast I move, how slow I move, and when should I stop and rest. So I would just love to be that, because even if I'm a plane, once I get to the air, I need to find a plane. I can't even I don't have the freedom, because a lot of factors will change my direction and be looking for the next airport. I can't land anywhere. So I'll just be a vehicle. I'll be a vehicle. I think on the medium. I'll call myself a medium mover. I don't want to run too fast. I don't want to move too slow. And if I choose to, let me accelerate and run and stop when I know I'm meant to stop and continue again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that answer. I like that answer. Okay, so something I do on the show is I usually ask a guest to give me a question that they would like me to ask the next person I speak with. So, what question would you want me to ask the next person I speak with?
Yeah, I think a question I would love you to ask someone is that number one, what even motivates the person to come on the show? You know,
Okay.
that's the question you get to ask someone. And I know I was not asked what really motivates me, to even just say yeah, I'm open and let's talk.
Okay. Interesting. Um, I'm curious to know what motivated you to be on the show.
Yeah, one thing is that there's something is that I'm this kind of person that I really don't know. As I said, when an opportunity, when anything comes around me, I just see opportunity at times, and I really don't think I do any digging, do any research. When you just say let's talk, when you followed me, I really don't dig too much. And when you send me the message about this stuff and what you're doing, I'm like, oh, right. So far I've just have a space to just say something that is in my mind, and yeah, I'm just someone that just when the opportunity comes. It's not something I do every day. It's not something I'm looking for. But when I see someone that gives the space, then I'm fine. Let me just say my mind. It might help someone, and I'm out of the space again for another time. I see another person that gives the room. So for me, it just motivates me that so far it's not something I'm after. So anytime I see a request and I look at it and I see something I would love to have a voice in, African American, it motivates me. So I'm not really, I'm not this kind of person that I really don't know every answers that everything I answer to the question. It's not like I really want it to be air that much, but I don't mind. I don't mind, but I just love a space where you can be very free, open-minded, and say something, and you're out of it again, and maybe nobody hear from you for a while again, and you go.
uh, Thank you for the answer, and thank you for jumping on this opportunity. That's actually the reason why one of the reasons I do this is just having people having a space where people can just come and Africans actually can come and share their thoughts, you know, and ideas on things. Because I honestly believe that you can learn a lesson from anybody. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be, the people that are on TV or people that have made the millions or billions. There's lessons you can learn from anybody. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, thank you for taking this opportunity or jumping on the opportunity to have the conversation.
yeah, yeah. It's fine.
um, Last question I have for you was from our previous guest. Her name is Vivian Wogu. She's a philosophy graduate that now works in the HR space. As a passion, she helps to coach young, university students on career paths and how to move through life basically. So her question is, what is one thing that you've done in the past that if you think you did differently would lead you down a completely different path? And what lesson can you learn from that?
Well, that was a
Or
very
what kind
tough.
of lesson can you share from
Sorry,
that?
can you ask the question again? That's tough
Remember, I
lesson.
mentioned she's a philosophy graduate, so that's the reason why.
This is the
So the
first question
question
I will
is,
This is the first question I will tell you to
huh?
repeat the question. This is the first time I will tell you to repeat the question
Yeah,
again.
that's true. So, what is one thing that you've done? What is one thing that you've done in the past that if you did differently, it would lead you down a completely different path? And what lesson can you share from that?
I think I've done a lot of things. So bringing one thing, man, picking one thing. I need to pick something. Let me look at. my something I always think about. I think there's a point when let me see let me see let me see. I think most of the thing I've done, yeah, I could remember like I left the corporate world very early. I After school I did like a 1 year and graduate training job, and after the 1 year graduate training
Mm-hmm.
job I worked with another company for like 8 years. But because I was bombarded with a lot of gigs, I'll call it gigs, and I really don't want to be distracted, for my job. I have to step out and focus on gig job, while I'm not learning from the process. But sometimes I always think that what if I still like 4 years more, in the in a specific industry, and it's not like I'm always doing well. I was, even when I was leaving my job, I was offered an increment, a raise, and when I do interview, I always have these chances of passing. I think maybe the first interview, because even when I got my job after NYC in Nigeria, it's like I'll be passing out the second day, and I got an offer the day before. So, and it was something that is okay, mean that you can continue your life in Lagos and start building a career. So I always think that, what if I stay longer, in the corporate world? What if I've been following a step from a associate to this, to this, to this? Where would I have been? Where would I have been? Would have been more softer for me than this life now that I'm always thinking everything? Like, would I have had a very soft life? I would have been making cash. Maybe I'm working with a big company now. Sometimes I just think about it, and stuff like that. Like, but I made a decision at a very young age. I had nothing to lose. So, but sometimes I just always think about it. If you are still not be engaged with someone, and you're not interested, don't be curious. Why are you building something? Leave it. Just move and do stuff. Where would I have been? Where would I have seen myself? Could I have been more okay? Could I have been making more impact than I am now? Sometimes it always comes to my head. But honestly, I still always feel this is the
Mm.
best decision I've made. Either way, I still feel this is the best decision I've
Yeah.
made. Yeah.
I love how you ended that. I love how you ended that. Because we cannot, we never know, but we just have to have conviction and belief in the decisions that we've made, right?
Exactly.
And we probably wouldn't be having this conversation if you'd have stayed in the corporate world and just living a soft life. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, I won't really have a lot of
So,
drivers here like this.
yeah. So Ibrahim, this brings us to the end of the show as I planned. Is there any question that you think that you would have wanted me to ask that I didn't ask, besides what motivated you to be on the show?
I think if I should ask for myself, I'm even interested in really knowing what you see. Why did you come? What do you see? How do you get to see my profile? Or why are you interested in me? I'm just this regular guy that just own a startup here, just building my own. So don't have any visibility, because I was thinking you might ask me that. Am I even curious, about knowing how you get to why you choose to approach me, like, am I even curious? Well,
Yeah.
maybe the question might be different for some people, but for me, like, I don't see myself as something very, very, I don't know how to put it, very big or huge like that. So I was like, oh, what do you see in me, to invite me on this call?
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't feel maybe I'll be curious, because sometimes when people send an invitation, we've not met anywhere, we've not had any chats before. I think you followed me today, the second or the third day you asked me, or maybe it was even the same day. So I was like,
Yeah.
what do you say? Like, I was very curious, like, because I'm curious. You should have asked me. I'm really interested in knowing. I'm really interested in knowing, so that
Okay.
just ask my customer, how do you hear about the product, so that I can see, oh, what have I done that I really don't know that is visible somewhere or stuff like that.
Yeah. So I would gladly tell you that. So I was
I
huh?
tweaked the question, like I thought the question I had. So
That's fine. That's fine. So the like I shared earlier, the idea was of this platform is to promote independent thinking and purposeful living amongst young Africans, right? And the reason why I reached out to you, well, personally, first of all, the reason why this platform exists comes from a personal struggle that I had. I was personal challenge. Let me use struggle. Personal challenge. I studied mechanical engineering because my parents told me to do that. And I went down that route for about 8 years until I was like, okay, this is really not what I want to do. I have interest in other areas, and I started, you know, taking those steps to do that. And it was during that period that I had the idea, like, hey, um, I'm sure I'm not the only person that has the same challenge. One, two, I'm sure there are people out there that have were able to address this challenge at an early stage, or didn't even go through that challenge. And so I said, I had the idea to create the platform. Now, how did that find you and reach out to you particularly? So I started looking on LinkedIn and just going through the tech space. And you know how on the side of LinkedIn, it would show you similar accounts, similar profiles that you can that are linked to the profile you're looking at. And there were like two or three profiles that I looked at that your name showed up on the side. So I was like, okay, this guy is obviously doing something in the tech space in Nigeria. Let me check out your profile. I checked out your profile, saw that your background is in environmental sciences, but you're doing, you're building a solution in the finance accounting space. That obviously is something that you had to, it came about your own thinking. It's not someone that told you had to do this. So I was like, okay, let me reach out to you and hear your story. Because like I said earlier, everybody has a story to tell. It's not just the people that have made it big. If at whatever stage or at whatever stage you are in the journey, I believe there's a lesson that you can share from your story. So yeah, that's how that's it.
yeah.
Did that
I think
answer your question?
yeah, it does, and I can really relate to that, and it's nice. It's nice. I think that's the power of making yourself visible. Because if I'm not visible, you won't know. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think thanks so much for that, and yeah, I really appreciate this.
yeah. No problem, no problem. So I'm sure you have to run, so I wouldn't hold you any much longer.
Yeah.
Ibrahim, thank you so much for the time. I really do appreciate this. One last question before you go. Is there any way, you feel like I could be of help to you? Is there anything that you're currently doing that you think I could be of help?
Um, I think from our conversation, I see that your part is more about visibility. So yeah, if you have a space where I can also talk more about what I'm building, maybe the story of what
Hmm.
I'm doing. Yeah, I always like to share the story and the journey. Like building in public to a particular platform. I mean,
Okay.
like public to a platform. So sometimes you want to build in public maybe to yourself as a platform, but there could be a platform where you can also be building in public to their channel. Instead of talking about myself, you can also be
Hmm.
talking about building to a particular session, and that will also be helpful. But I know that a lot of I really don't want to bomb, but I know that when I need things, I will reach out to you. And I see that
Yeah.
podcast is a very amazing way of getting people out there and what they are building out there. And anyone that is doing some podcast, program or have an event, yeah, it's something that will help anyone. Because as a business person, or everything I always want to do every day is I want the world to know what I'm building. I want the world to know what I'm
Yeah.
building. And 90% of my
Yeah.
users are word of mouth or edit from LinkedIn or something like that. So that's the power of that word of mouth. So I believe that I really don't know how far this podcast will reach, but I know to some extent I would likely to see some people signing up on Times, because likely there are chances that someone will think, oh, I really don't know software like this exists around. Let me check them out.
Yeah. All right. Um, I would Ibrahim again. Thank you very much, and do enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Yeah,
Cheers. Hey guys, so there you have it. We've come to the end of the episode. I really hope you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed having it with our guests. If that's true, please go ahead and like the video, share your thoughts in the comments because we would love to hear what you think, and also share this with a friend. We believe one of the best ways this channel is going to grow is through word of mouth marketing or peer-to-peer sharing. So please go ahead and share this with someone who you feel would find it just as valuable as you did. And also subscribe to the channel, because why not? You want to be you want to stay in the loop for when we drop new content. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And last but not least, we've got some merch. I'm actually wearing one of our t-shirts with our slogan, Bet on Your Truth. So go ahead and head to our website. The link is in the description. While you're there, if the spirit leads you to cop one or two things, or maybe even more for yourself and your loved ones, please go ahead and do so. So that's it for now. I remain your host, Ibn Gawana. And until next time, I wish you more life, more love, more blessings.